Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, and today I'm bringing you a review on the new Guillermo del Toro film, Nightmare Alley. A film that is just come out this weekend in the UK, which is obviously why we've seen it, and a film that, if you live in America, you might have wondered, has it been released here? Well, yes, it was, but it came out the same day as Spider-Man, so nobody saw it in America, which is something I'll be bringing up very shortly. But before I get into the main story of the review, as usual, I'm going to bring the comments. As I said, this film is out, and I want to get your thoughts at home. Please do comment your thoughts on Nightmare Alley. Did you enjoy this film? Did you not enjoy the film? Do you think it's going to get Oscar nominations? We've put the Oscar logo on it, so maybe I'm being arrogant, maybe I'm not. I want to hear everything from you guys, and please do hit that subscribe. And we've got some goals we're walking towards this year. We've got a very big year coming up on the channel, and with it being Oscar season, we've got a lot more of these kind of films coming on the way, including Belfast tomorrow. So please do hit that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot as we work towards hitting some more targets for you all. And if you didn't know this review was coming out, that's because there's not been much marketing for it in truth. Best way to find out when our videos are going up is by getting us on social media: Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinema savvy. And of course, we have a link to TeePublic in that description below. But as I said, we are here talking Nightmare Alley. Now, for those that aren't aware, this is not just a remake of a previous film. This was originally a book that was released in 1946. It then became a film, and this has obviously been remade. Guillermo del Toro's first film since obviously The Shape of Water. Now, first move of the channel. I didn't like The Shape of Water a couple of years ago. Maybe a bit of bias, maybe not. But I've not seen, if any, bar that I don't think I've seen any of a Guillermo del Toro film. So he's still a filmmaker that is not necessarily unknown to me. I know his style, his visual style, and all the creatures, all the supernatural, that kind of stuff. And I knew next to nothing about this film. I didn't even know it was a remake of a book or anything like that. So I went in quite cold by getting a trailer at Kingsman, which actually was really interesting because I'm going to bring up the trailers. If you guys have seen this, I actually want to know, do you feel this one was mismarketed? Because I think it was, but I'm not going to say that actually as a criticism. Obviously, this tells the story of Stan, played by Bradley Cooper, who sort of works at Carnival, and he essentially begins an act where he, well, like all sort of con men, he's got an act, and it's how far is he going to take it, and that's all I'm going to say in regards to the main plot. Because if you don't know what happens next, I really encourage you to watch this film, and this is where it gets interesting. That to me, when you think of a Guillermo del Toro film, him directing carnival scenes is right up his street. He can do that creepy stuff. He can do, all his like the mise en scene, all the weird design stuff. Guillermo's really good at doing that, and as always, he has such incredible, not just production design, but cinematography to go with that. And I think it's the combination of getting those two together which always makes his films visually stand out. And I think a lot of people are saying this is like a modern noir film, and I absolutely see that just from having Bradley Cooper in the lead role, who's, when we're first introduced to him, I don't think he has any dialogue for about 10-15 minutes. He is just there. He has his own presence, as Bradley Cooper always does. Found out that originally Leo DiCaprio was in talks to play the role, but he didn't do it in the end. It went to Bradley Cooper, who you can't fault that. I think Bradley Cooper's really come into his own, and I think he's starting to get seen a lot more as the great actor he is. But him in the lead role in this film, I think he's absolutely fine in this. I think he's an enigma. I think Bradley Cooper, that when you need to get dramatic moments, you can. You need lighter moments, and he has this sort of this showman impact. I'm trying not to compare him to Hugh Jackman too much, but he commands presence when he's on screen now, and I think that's what I have with this film. That for someone to play that lead role, obviously knowing it could have been Leo, I think Bradley Cooper is a very good sort of other person that could replace him, and that's why I've kind of really enjoyed it. I think if you can't get on board with Bradley Cooper, you're going to struggle with this film because he is the lead character. But what this film does have is some incredible supporting actors, which I really want to talk about. We always talk about performances on this channel, but Willem Dafoe, who so many maybe younger people that haven't seen some other stuff with Spider-Man coming out, he's sort of in the limelight again. I'm not to say that's because of Spider-Man, but there are a lot more people starting to look at Willem Dafoe outside of Spider-Man. They're starting to go to his other films. They're seeing films like The Lighthouse. Maybe they've not even seen Platoon. There's so many great films he's done, and I think he's really starting to get seen for it now. And in this, he's all over the trailer. As I said previously, he has such a distinctive voice in everything he's ever been in. And to me personally, he was the biggest draw of the film to me. And he's not in it an awful much. He's sort of head of the carnival type thing. And he is almost not a mentor figure, but he almost begins the process, and he's very integral to what does come at the end of the film. But obviously, when you have someone that has the presence of Willem Dafoe, when he disappears and we don't get to see him again, it leaves you wanting more. And that's both a praise and a criticism because story wise he didn't need to come in for any more scenes. He is almost in the opening third of the film, and again with the trailer marketing it almost to be like he's there everywhere. If you aren't familiar with the source material, then I guess you may think the same thing, which is what I'm curious to see what people think. But I think personally the film really it loses me in the second act, but it does pick up towards the end. But when you move away from the carnival stuff and get into the real story of it, it's just not as interesting, and it feels quite more subdued. And that's where I'm with the supporting cast because we've got Tony Collette in this film as well, who is also I don't want to say underused because they're great when they're in it, but we just don't get enough scenes from some of these people. Then obviously we have people like Kate Blanchett, who's an incredible actress, who is perfect. And every scene she's in, you talk about noir films, the femme fatale character. We know that Kate Blanchett can do that perfectly, and she does that throughout the film, and she's integral. And obviously Rooney Mara, who is really the main character after Bradley Cooper. It's about her story, her journey with him, and I think she's absolutely fine in this. It's quite an interesting performance with her because she doesn't have as much dialogue, but her performance is all in the expressions, in her reaction, and her in these environments. And she's quite a tragic character when you really get to grips. And I think Rooney Mara is really good at the source material she has. But this is my biggest Christmas film, the source material. Again, I've not read the book, I've not seen the original, but the second act is a struggle. It picks itself up, but for a film that's nearing 2.5 hours, it's very tough to have this brilliant opening 45-50 minute set of all this intrigue, these incredible ensemble. We've got people like Ron Perlman in the film as well, and you kind of want to spend time with these, and then you just zip forward into the future a couple more years, and I think the film loses a lot of momentum, and you almost pick up a second storyline, a whole new. Like the opening act was merely almost you could start the film 45 minutes in, and you'd still get the exact same structure. It's just that the ending payoff is down to the beginning, and this is where I'm a little bit torn. That story wise, I don't think it's fully there, but I am immersed in the story thanks to the visuals, thanks to the cinematography, and the performances from the characters, and that's how I feel about it. It's a very different film to what I imagined it would be, and it's a very different film to how it starts off being. But I keep saying it's got a payoff at the end. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything, say anything. The payoff is superb, and I can let the second act slip because of how good that payoff is. And if you have seen it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And it is so well done. All the build up to it, we get to bring in an actor, Tim Blake Nelson, who appears as well towards the end of the film, who we know is solid in small roles. Any role you give him, he's fantastic. But he can do supporting roles, he can do leading roles. And, when you get him for 5 minutes, you're going to get 5 minutes of greatness. And that's where I'm in this film. It's such a perfect ensemble. And with Del Toro, I'm really fascinated. I do want to see some more of his films. Maybe I give The Shape of Water another go, but I had a lot of fun watching this film. But another big thing, I've spoke so much about the cinematography, the production design, even the costumes, the soundtrack. I was surprised how much I enjoyed. Now it's done by Nathan Johnson, who if you aren't familiar with, he did the score to Knives Out and Looper, a lot of Ryan Johnson films. I believe it's his cousin. I might be wrong on that, but I think they are related. Obviously, they've got the same surname as well, but I'm sure I've seen something online in the past about them. His Knives Out score was superb, and he has a superb score for this film. I think Alexandre Desplat was originally meant to do it, but he had to pull out due to scheduling reasons. I think he must have worked with Guillermo on Shape of Water. I'm sure he did. So, it's a fantastic score that goes with it. And when you have a film like this that is sort of noir, you do need a score to go with it. You need the audio to match the visuals of what we're getting on screen. If you've got one working, not the other, it's never going to work. But this one does. And this is why I had such a blast of it. It was just fun to watch. It was a very different film as well, again, to what I expected. But overall, if I'm being blunt, I'm gonna say it's fairly enjoyable. Now, is this a rush film to go to the cinema for? Personally, I don't think so. There's a much better film out, Belfast, which we'll be talking about tomorrow on the channel. But yes, as I said, it was nice to see this at cinema. Given that this film's bombed in America, which is a massive shame because you've released it the same day as Spider-Man. Now, I'm not part of the tin hat conspiracy theorists, but it's done by obviously Fox Searchlight, owned by Disney now. Just like The Last Duel, it gets released. Why would you release this film on December the 17th? Who is going to watch this film over Spider-Man? I know a few people have been. I know that in America, they were cancelling screenings of this film to put more Spider-Man screenings in. Now, people can moan about Marvel all they want, but at the end of the day, if you're a cinema chain that's been shut for 2 years or had half a crowd for 2 years, you're going to have to make those choices. And the criticism shouldn't be at cinema chains. The criticisms for this film, for its financial issues, should be squarely based at the company that's released it on December the 17th. Yes, Sony owns Spider-Man, But Disney work with Sony to make those films. It's an allegiance with them. They could have easily pulled this release date to the start of December, and releasing it over here, 21st of Jan, is a very good release date. We've not got of any films out till, I guess, because they Moonfall and Jackass in 2 weeks, but the release date in the UK has been perfect. But obviously, to qualify for the Oscars, it has to be out by December 31st in the States. And I just think they've really messed up that release date. I think this is a film a lot of people would like to have seen, especially the older audience. And it does make me think that this is going to get a fast track onto Disney Plus. Kingsman's coming out February the 9th over here. I think we've got French Dispatch on the 16th of Feb. Wouldn't surprise me if they get this in 6 weeks as soon as possible, start of March, just in the midst of the BAFTAs and the Oscars month. It's a real shame that not many people are going to be able to see this. But as I said, there was a decent crowd last night. I'd say it was about a third to a half full, which for a drama at sort of 8:30 on a Friday is not bad, not bad at all. So that's where I sort of stand on its release structure. I just wanted to bring that up because it is a massive issue for me. How people have spoken about this. Again, you cannot blame cinema chains for adding more screenings for sold out films that's gone on to be one of the most successful films in history. So that's where I am with that. And I've slapped the Oscar logo on this. Maybe it's arrogant to do it before the Oscars come out, but I think this is going to get a couple of nominations. I think this is very going to be technical stuff. I could see this for soundtrack easily, but I think this is nailed on for stuff like production design, costume design, maybe cinematography. Now, cinematography is one of those categories that everyone can say there's great cinematography, but I could see this has a distinct style and it could sneak in depending on if there's anything major that's going to miss. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, we've got probably Belfast, Power of the Dog locked in, June locked in, and there's space for one or two more. I think this could easily be one of those final two, but if the Oscar voters didn't watch this film either, then that sets up their own problems. So, Oscars wise, it's going to be interesting. I can't see it winning anything, but it is a shame that his first film posts, winning everything in 2017, 18, whatever it was. It's a shame that I don't think many people will be watching it. And yeah, as I said, I do recommend this film, but maybe hold out. If you're not fussed about going to the cinema, then by all means do wait for it to come along on Disney Plus. It doesn't have that cinematic draw that some films do, and that's kind of where I stand with it. You're gonna have a good time. If you don't know the story, you're gonna be setting for intrigue, but you're putting 2.5 hours aside for it, and that's a lot of time to put forward to something which does lose me slightly in the middle. So that's everything I'm going to be saying on Nightmare Alley. Again, a film that I'm going to be really curious to hear your thoughts on at home. If you have seen it, please do comment your thoughts. I reply to all the comments in the chat as always, and do hit that like button. As I said, it's Oscar season. We've had Licorice Pizza review out already. We've got a review coming out tomorrow for Belfast. We're going to have loads more Oscar stuff. I think the nominations are out at the start to mid-February, so we'll have our predictions video as always. But the main thing is we always have stuff happening with the Oscars on the channel. And that's something that we'll never drop. We'll always continue to talk about. So please do hit that subscribe button. We'll be covered up to and including the night 27th of March. Set the date, put it in your calendar, get the Monday morning off work. It's going to be absolutely fun doing that live stream as always. And if you want to find out when our videos are going up, what is coming next, best way to do so is hitting us up on social media, Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and airbox.com/cinema-savvy, and of course a link to TeePublic in that description below. But that is everything I'm going to say on this film. As I said, Belfast tomorrow, Book of Boba Fett on Wednesday, and I can say there is another TV review coming out Wednesday for a very, very anticipated, I guess you could say, adult series. Coming Wednesday, 5 p.m. GMT. I don't think I can give the name away, but there was a tease in the Licorice Pizza review, so do check that out. There is more stuff coming on the way, new releases, old releases. We have an updated video from last Sunday where I went over everything that's coming up on the channel for this year. Please do check that out. There's some really cool series we're going to be starting up. I cannot wait to get to work on it, but as always, Oscar season comes first, and we'll get that cleared for you. So thank you all for watching, and be sure to see us on the next one. Take care.